Laura, welcome back. I don't know if you've heard this conversation, but continue on with what you were saying.
I did. Well, Tammy, look, this is a situation that the American people listening all across this country have to know tonight. Congress is responsible for this situation.
Exactly.
With the record number of people crossing the border. When they say there's no crisis, they're lying to the American people. 1,800 family units crossed the border on Monday when the president was in El Paso. 300 of them, two groups of 300, according to the Washington Post and DHS, crossed on Monday. That's a crisis. This bill does nothing to address that. It's an easy fix. We're gonna. I know on the show you're gonna play some of what I said last night for people to listen to again. It's an easy fix. But this was totally unnecessary. The president's instincts on this has always been right. Simple, pragmatic thinking, Tammy.
Indeed. And he clearly is a man alone in a way, right, Laura? Obviously, he's made every effort to compromise. People will remember the State of the Union. He seems to be in Washington the one person who's thinking about us, who's thinking about the future, who's not thinking about his next job or what, the media is going to say. He is genuinely a man alone in facing what this swamp is putting forward to him.
Well, and I would say this. I think the Democrats were the ones who were willing to inflict pain on the American public. The president, I think it irked him to have to do this, but the president did not want to put the country through in this economy through the uncertainty of another government shutdown.
Right. Okay.
That is it's a terrible position for him to be in. It's like a Damocles sword hanging over the economy. He doesn't want that to happen. Okay, so he decides to do, sadly, which is the only card he has left, which is the national emergency. The Democrats pushed him into this situation, Tammy. It was completely unnecessary, and the president did the right thing here. He had to do this. This will be expedited to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is going to have to make a decision about whether the president's constitutional authority extends to this type of situation regarding the border. I think it's a no-brainer. He absolutely has the constitutional authority to do this. Nancy Pelosi's comments about this earlier today were ridiculously stupid. She doesn't know what she's talking about. This will be affirmed by the court. They just have to get to the court, Tammy, and then they'll be off to the races. But look, this is not the way any of us wanted this done. And I'm really unhappy with a lot of what's in this bill. It's not what we wanted. The president should have done this in the first 100 days of his term. But you can blame the pros in Congress for.
Really was trying. I mean, this was a man who started his term really trying to work with the system, being the compromiser, bringing people in. And obviously, these last 2 years have been an education for all of us. And the president has put this off. And now he clearly realizes, I think this is important for the American people to see what Congress really is doing, what the Democrats are made of, and what the president has stated from the beginning that he continues to focus on. I think it's valuable because I don't think this is going to end for the next 6 years. I think this is going to be the constant fight.
Now, Tammy, this is going to be the election year issue. Yeah. We thought this was going to be settled. We thought it could be settled. But the Democrats are bowing down at the altar of open borders. This is a religion to them. They believe this is Tammy, their religion. They don't believe in the old nation state. They think nations are passé. They think our sovereignty is something to be it's fungible, it's tradable. And Donald Trump doesn't believe that. He thinks America is a special place and it should remain that way.
Yeah,
that's what he believes.
Almost on the coattails of the Barack Obama attitude that America's strength and specialness was the problem. They want to carry that on. We've seen the results of a man, Donald Trump, who thinks the opposite, and the world is reaping the benefits of that. Laura, great stuff. Thank you so much for joining us on your vacation. I appreciate it. And thank you for letting me keep your chair warm here. Your comments were obviously
have a great show, and everybody make their views heard to Congress, and do not take your eye off this ball.
Yeah.
This is for the whole shoot match. This is our country at stake.
This is it. Great stuff. Thank you so much, Laura. It's what we needed to hear. I want to bring back Congressman Ken Buck and Paul Gosar. Obviously, Congressman Buck, some very strong words. We see this as being an extension of not just the next 6 years, but it's what the election's going to be about. How do you think the Republicans do you see at least the Republicans in the Senate being a bit more helpful to the president, and certainly the Republicans in the House of Representatives being more helpful to his agenda as well, which is at this point clearly the only agenda set for the American people?
I think the American people respect strength. I think President Trump is showing strength on this issue. He has a clear vision for protecting Americans from dangerous illegal immigrants as well as from drugs. And I think the national emergency in this case is the fact that Congress can't act. That's an emergency. We need to make sure that we take care of that. And I applaud this president for taking a strong stand and making sure that all Americans understand that we have a border and we need to enforce our border security.
Do you have any concerns at the same time? We know we've got, I think, about 30 existing national emergencies that are in order in the United States. We know President Clinton, I believe, issued 17. President Obama issued, I believe, 12 or 13. So this is something that happens and is never a drama, and people probably haven't been aware of the national emergency orders that have been implemented. But we heard from the Democrats that they say, oh, well, then we're going to do national. We can do this on other issues. Do you think that the Democrats need the permission of the Republicans and what they do to do what they're going to do? Do you take that threat seriously?
The Democrat presidents have never been bound by the law. When you look at how the presidents, President Obama, President Clinton, President Carter, treated the Antiquities Act or the Emergencies Act, they have always expanded the scope of presidential power. This president is much more limited in the scope and acting on a true emergency.
Congressman Buck, do you agree? Congressman Buck, you get the last word. Do you have any concern about the national emergency declaration?
I do, but here's the deal. The thing that the president has at his disposal is about $4.5 billion without even touching the emergency clause. So, Congress
is
actually
given
it's ready to rock and roll, and I think this president was betrayed by a lot of people here in Congress.
Yeah, well, the president knows what he needs to achieve, and he's looking out, I think, for the American people. He's going to find a way to make that work. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight on a very busy night. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up, we go live to the White House for the latest on President Trump's expected declaration of a national emergency to get a border wall built.